Hello, everyone. It's Tracy Cromwell here. It's Tough Love Tuesday. And let's see, tonight I'm going to be doing the show on basically food produce storage 101 because all I know is for me is produce gives me tough love all the time. Or to how to store it and how to keep it fresh so I'm not wasting so much food. So tonight we're going to be talking about that, and I'll be throwing a lot of info at you. So if at the end number one, you might want to get a piece of paper out or something to take notes, but if in the end and I get some requests, I can probably convert something into a PDF for you. So if that's something you would like, at the end or during this broadcast, go ahead and put it in the comments or private message me, and I'll go ahead and I'll throw this into a PDF handout for you. So so I'm Tracy Cromwell. I'm a certified integrative nutrition health coach. So that means that as a coach, I've been trained to look at all aspects of someone's life. It's not just about the food. It's not just about exercise. However, those are very important aspects. But, so many other things affect the way we think of ourselves and how we are in our communities, and then also our stress levels. So, we're looking at our home environment, health, joy, spirituality, our relationships, finances, creativity, social life, education, career, and again, our community, which is so important. So, but today I'm going to be talking about food and trying to help you save some money in a way so that you don't have to throw out your produce so quickly. If you are listening on the podcast, this is recorded live, and so anything can happen, as some that have watched before. Anything can happen in a live broadcast in terms of cats intervening. I've locked them out this time. They've lost their right to the office while I'm doing these now. So anyway, but you can catch the podcast on most areas that are streaming podcasts. And then my book is available on Amazon. So, okay. So now to produce. We know trying to eat healthy can feel really difficult because it can be expensive, and fresh produce can be expensive, which is something that drives me crazy. I don't think it should be that way, but you go and you buy these foods, you bring them home, and you may forget about them, or you get busy and they've spoiled before you even get an opportunity to eat them. And so over the next, 25 minutes, we're going to go ahead and explore some ideas for you on how you can save some money and how to store your produce. So one thing I'll bring up too, so I have a garden with my sister. We have a community garden, and I'm learning more about it. This will be our 4th or 5th year with it. And so we're trying to do, what's it called? The gardening where you put the plants together. You put the produce together that like to be together. So if we think about that, if it's like that in the garden, it's going to be like that in our refrigerator or on our counter. And then we know that certain foods like to be in certain environments. That's just the way they grow better or like to be. So if you think about that too, when you're thinking about storing, I think that's really helpful. So what produce like to be stored at room temperature? So this can mean you can put these fruits and veggies in like a bowl, a fruit bowl, or on the counter. And some of these are just more sensitive to cold temperatures, and they'll actually stay fresher if you leave them at room temperature. So this can be your bananas, basil, which I was surprised. I thought for sure basil would like to be in the refrigerator. But basil, cucumber that hasn't been cut, you can store out on your counter. Eggplant, garlic, grapefruit, greens, lemons, limes. Green beans, not greens, green beans, onions, oranges, summer squash, sweet potatoes, watermelons, winter squash, and zucchini. So I know with the watermelon, it's nice to have it nice and cold, right? So I guess maybe if you're not going to eat it right away, keep it out, but then if you plan to eat it later, put it in the fridge so it's nice and crispy and cold when you get to eat it. So anyway, I know I've been storing some of that stuff in my fridge, but it'll definitely give you lots more room by keeping it out in the room temperature. And also, I find if it's right in front of me, I remember that I have it, because sometimes I can get it into the fridge and, I don't see it, and it spoils, it's gone. So on to things to store in the fridge, because they like to be cold in storage like that is, apples. We keep ours in the fridge, but I know sometimes I've seen them stored out, but actually apples want to be stored in the fridge. Asparagus, your blueberries, your broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, cherries, cilantro, and corn, dark leafy greens, grapes, lettuce, leeks, and parsley, peas, pomegranate, raspberries, and strawberries. They want to be in the cold. Okay, so you may be tempted to want to, store the apples outside, but yeah, they like to be in the cold. And in our refrigerator, we actually have a dispenser rack that's for soda, but we don't drink soda. So all our apples are up in this little dispenser that's supposed to be for soda cans. So that works pretty good. And so on top of it, okay, so we've got the out, those that want to be stored out of the fridge, those that want to be stored in the fridge. And then there are the ones that want to travel. So they, the ones I'm going to talk about now, they want to be more room they're temperamental. So these want to be stored on the counter until ripe, and then move to the fridge to stay ripe. And so these are kind of temperamental ones, but the apricots, avocados, mangoes, melons, nectarines, papayas, peaches, pears, pineapple, and plums. So I didn't know that really either, So when I was doing the investigating for this, it was a lot of fun to find that there were the ones that wanted to move. And once they're ripe, you move them to the fridge. And then, this is what I was talking about in terms of companion planting. That's the word I was looking for earlier. You can plant in a garden plants that like to be together, produce that likes to be together, and they work really well intermixed together. Well, it's kind of the same reality for us when we're storing it. So some of our produce, they want lots of space. So it doesn't matter if it's in or out of the being in or out of the fridge seems like it's half the battle. But once we consider which ones we can store together, like happy companions, that's going to help a lot too. So as a rule of thumb, keep apples, avocados, stone fruits, pears, bananas, and tomatoes away from other fruits and veggies, especially leafy greens. So the ethylene gas that these fruits and veggies release can speed up the ripening process of the other fruits and veggies and put it into hyperdrive. So that was really intriguing for me to learn. So the gas producers include apricots, apples, avocados, bananas that are unripe, and cantaloupe. It's a good list. Figs, honeydew, kiwi, nectarines, peaches, plums, tomatoes. And those are the ones that produce the gas. And then gas-sensitive fruits and veggies include the bananas, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, cucumbers, eggplant, lettuce, peas, peppers, squash, sweet potatoes, and watermelon. So we want to keep these separate because the one will cause the other to ripen faster and then thus spoil faster. And again, if you're just joining, just know that I got thinking about this broadcast, and I'd be more than happy if you're interested. I will be making a PDF with all of this info on it. So if you'd like it, go ahead and just message me or put a comment in that you would like the PDF, and I'll figure out a way to get it over to you. So So this is cool too. So let's just say you need a fruit or to ripen faster. You need something to happen faster. I wanted to talk about the avocados because that's like, shoot, Taco Tuesdays, say it's tomorrow or gosh, it was today. And I have a avocado yesterday that needed ripening, but you can place an avocado in a paper bag with a ripe banana. And because the ripe banana and the avocado together, cause the avocado to ripen quicker. And so you can do this with, the stone fruits. And stone fruits are peaches, plums, and apricots. So yeah, it was interesting because I know it's tough. You get to the store and you can't find any ripe avocados. Well, if you have a very ripe banana at home, that banana can help ripen that avocado for you. So I was talking about ethylene. It is basically a plant hormone, and it's the aging hormone for those plants, that fruit. So that's where and why when it produces these fruits, produce that gas, or these vegetables also produces gas. It affects the plants around it and those in the fridge with it. So pretty interesting stuff. Okay. So a word on onions. So check something over here really quick. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Hold on. Okay, great. Onions. Onions are wonderful, but we want to go ahead and make sure we treat them well. Keep onions in a dry, dark space, but separated from fellow dark and dry pantry dwellers, such as potatoes. This is one thing. I've had my onions next to the potatoes. I hadn't really thought about that, but go ahead and keep them separate from the potatoes, winter squash, which is like an acorn or a butternut, or pumpkins, sweet potatoes, and watermelon. And what I've been doing is putting them all in a bowl together, and storing them that way in a dark space. But I really hadn't thought about the fact that the onions that are up against a potato will cause the potato to wilt and sprout quicker. So that was interesting. So onions help potatoes, wilt and sprout. So that'll help you save your potatoes. And then a cousin of the onion are scallions. I love scallions. And so they can get like slimy and dry pretty fast. So what you can do is you bring them home in a bunch and then go ahead and put them in like a tall glass of water. I love this. I've done this with other produce, but you put them in a tall glass of water or a jar and fill the glass like with 2 inches of water, and then put like a Ziploc bag over the top, and you just put it in the fridge like that. And so that keeps them, hydrated, and it'll help keep them from wilting. So, and then when you use the scallion, don't throw away the white root. Instead, go ahead. You can actually re-sprout them. So, put it in another jar with some water and let it sit in the sun, and it will actually sprout another group of scallions. So you don't have to keep buying them. So I thought that was another fun thing. So resprouting really works with scallions. And so now I'm going to move on to oxygen sensitive fruits. Like an apple will start to brown once you cut it because it starts to oxidize. And most people know this, but I hadn't thought about to do it this way. I've put the lemon on my apples that I'm not going to eat right away. And say we go on a hike or something, and we'll cut up apples and we'll put lemon on them, and that way they're not all brown. But you can also use lime juice or lemon juice, and you can also and I think this will help get the tartness down, is go ahead and have it be lemon water. You can go ahead and cut those apples and put them in lemon water, and that'll help keep them from going brown until you use it. So I've always just put the lemon directly on it. Hadn't really put it in lemon water. So I thought that was a nice way to go. And then also that you can use, you can go ahead and use um, the citrus of the lime juice as well. So fruits like the apples, pears, bananas, and avocados, you want to cut those right before you're going to use them because they get brown so fast. And this was cool when I started looking into this. Was I learned this about avocado, and I really, the big battle is how to keep it from going brown on you. But basically, enzymes in an avocado will, create a brown pigment once oxygen hits them. And so that's why the guacamole is just kind of gross the next day. It doesn't look very good. But for sliced avocados from going brown, you can also use lemon juice or lime juice. And again, that will help keep them green. You can also store sliced avocados in a container with a large piece of onion. Yeah, because the same gases that make your eyes burn when you chop those onions, or those bad boys, those onions, are going to help prevent oxidation of your avocado. So that was kind of cool. Just throw an onion in there with it. And so I'm going to be trying that. And then another option for preventing it from going brown is keep the pit. Place the pit in the center of your guacamole, and that kind of helps sometimes. I'm a little, we'll see how that goes. But we put the pit and we put it in there. And then this was a neat tip that I found. An alternative to mash up your avocado is place it in a bowl of or a container, then cover it with a layer of water. So then the layer will protect it from oxidation. And because the avocado is so dense, it won't soak up the water. So you just pour the water out before eating and add more water when you're done. And I had just never thought about using water like that. So I'm going to be trying that out myself. So that was a new tip that I found. How are we doing on time? We're doing good. So the leafy greens. So greens can go bad pretty quick, it seems. And what was fun is we've developed kind of a system here at home. And it was interesting as I was doing this research, I found one of our tricks in here, but has worked really well for us. But the most important part of keeping greens dry and keeping greens from, getting mushy and so on is to keep them dry. So a lot of times, and I notice this a lot with spinach, if it's wet, the spinach leaves and everything gets slimy a lot faster. So go ahead and when you get them home, you can wash them, but if you can then use a salad spinner and then also transfer them to, a large clean, dry dish towel or something like that, and just wrap them up and then transfer them to another dry towel. And that'll keep them a lot longer. They won't get mushy. I've noticed though too, the lettuce from the garden, sometimes I'll leave the base on there. I've done this too. Like sometimes I put that in water just because it's a plant, right? And it can keep absorbing the water up into the plant. That was not in the tips here. That was my own thing. That when I was looking around for additional tips, but once you've got your greens rinsed and dried, this is what we do is we line a container with a paper towel and we place them inside and we wrap the top over of the paper towel, and that container, because it's harder, they don't get mashed down, and then the paper towels continue to absorb the moisture, helping to keep them from getting mushy and dry. And I noticed with the beet greens, they're not as pesky or upset about being moist, but other lettuces and definitely spinach just doesn't stay crisp and nice as long when it's not dry. And now we're on to the royal berry treatment. Berries, I love berries. And this was something too that was different for me once I was looking into this, was they don't like to be wet. Berries don't like to be wet. I kind of had sensed that, but we want to go ahead and clean them or whatever. the best way to handle and clean them was, fill a large bowl with cold water and add a few tablespoons of white vinegar, which you don't taste, and gently let the berries go for a swirl in the liquid. And that helps clean them. And then you go ahead and transfer them to paper towel lined plate to dry. And then keep them in a strainer, a steamer, anything with like little holes, or even the original packaging it came in. And so the air can filter through the berries, and that will keep them longer. And we don't want to put them in a sealed container because that's going to go ahead and make them, go bad faster. And so that was an interesting thing. I know I always kind of think I have to seal them off because I don't want them to go bad, but they want to breathe and they also want to be dry. And then other things here. Now we're going to head over to pantry, things you can keep in your pantry, which will coincide a lot with what you can keep on your counter. But want to go ahead and keep out of the refrigerator. Don't put in the refrigerator potatoes, onions, squash, or garlic. That the cold temperatures will change the texture and flavor of the food. And so with potatoes, the cold temperatures turn them more starchy, more of a starch sugar quicker, and leaving them with a grittier, sweeter potato than you probably want. So leaving the potatoes stored out in your pantry. And then while we're at that, is storing tomatoes in the fridge can also change their texture and cause them to lose flavor. So opt to keep them on the counter as well. And if you have a fridge with a veggie crisper, and this is something I never used to do either, but definitely use the crispers, and you're going to want to keep the drawers. Some plants like the moisture and some want it drier. So those crispers actually do, mean something for us so that we can save money on our produce. So, go ahead and you can even adjust the crispers if you want to, but basically the high ethylene producing fruit should be stored in a low humidity because, the open vent will go ahead and let them breathe. And then you want the other produce that those ones sit next to in the other drawer so that they don't start wilting earlier than needed. Hi, Deborah. How are you? But anyway, another thing you can do, and this works really well. So if your strawberries are going bad or your mangoes, stuff's not going to make it. You're not going to be able to eat it before it starts to go, rotting or past its lifetime. You can go ahead and freeze them. So bananas freeze really well and your berries freeze really well. And so you can go ahead and save them and maybe put them in some kind of a dessert later or a smoothie or whatever. But yeah, instead of tossing them, go ahead and freeze them. Okay. And let's see, I think I've only got a couple more ideas here. Just want to make sure. Yeah. So herbs, it's really nice to have fresh herbs around, right? So with the exception of basil, fresh herbs like to be stored in the fridge with a damp but not soaking wet paper towel to keep them fresh. I've also made little bundles of herbs, and again, like the asparagus, it's almost like you plant them like flowers in a little cup of water, and you place them in there so that they can just keep, drinking water. And you can also place a plastic bag over the top of them. It gives it like its own little greenhouse. So basil wants to be outside of the fridge. The others, you can store them in little bouquet of flowers in water. That'll make them last a long time. And again, keep the basil on the counter. And that's one thing that I was not doing. I was putting it in the refrigerator. And celery, how celery can get all wilted. It's also when you can you can go ahead and store in some water. Sometimes I'll cut the slices ahead of time, and I put them in a container with a lid of water, or I've put them in the fridge like a flower. So you can do that. If by chance the celery still looks kind of good, but it's rubbery and wobbly, go ahead and soak it for a while. It will pick up the water and be just great. You don't need to throw that away. And so again, I've discussed using paper towels a bit. So if you don't want to use paper towels, or you want to use a reusable, they have some reusable type products like that, I believe, that, are more environmentally friendly. So you don't feel like you're doing something contrary to, our earth and our environment. So, but again, utilizing them for storage sometimes, and to keep your plants hydrated, your produce plants hydrated in the fridge is great. Mushrooms, how mushrooms can get slimy and kind of gross. Well, what we don't want to do, I guess, is put plastic around them for long-term storage. They need to have ventilation. So when you get them home, take the plastic off. If you have a plastic container, take them off. I know you can buy them sometimes and put them in a paper bag, which they're much happier in. And so you can take them out of their bag if they're in plastic, put them in a paper bag. Or if you don't have that, go ahead and line a bowl with like a paper towel and place in the fridge and leave them open to the refrigerator. They really would rather have the circulation. And so that was great news, because there's nothing worse than the slimy mushroom. So they like to be dry. Then we have our water lovers, which I think I've talked about a little bit too. I've already talked about asparagus and celery, love water. Carrots love water, and they'll dry out, they can dry out. Carrots can dry out quick, and asparagus can dry out really quick. So again, we can give them a little extra moisture in the refrigerator. And so if you buy the carrots with the leaves still attached, go ahead and cut those off, because they're going to keep sapping nutrients from the root. So cut those off, and then go ahead and put them in a container filled with water. Like I just mentioned, you can do with the celery, and let them live in the water, and they'll stay crisp for a long time. It's amazing how well they stay fresh. And again, asparagus, you can go ahead and put that, the little bundle of asparagus like a flower, and put it in the water, and they're happy. And and the other thing, like when you how you put the asparagus in, and it's in a plastic bag in your fridge, and then the little flowerets get all yucky. Well, if you store it the other way, face up, where it's standing in water, they don't get as gooey so fast. So you don't have to throw them away. So anyway, I had a blast putting this together. I use a bunch of resources to do it. I like, oh my goodness, Science Line, Global News, goodness, The Kitchen, Huffington Post. It was just fun to get all sorts of ideas on how we can go ahead and, because we do invest a lot of money in our food, and the fact that so many, I think it was the American Dietetics Association stated that family of four loses about $1,400 some dollars due to food being thrown out, because we just can't eat it fast enough. And so as a health coach, I would really love everyone to get more, just to add more fruits and veggies to their diet. But sometimes that's challenging because it is so expensive. So by taking into account some of these tips, you can go ahead and realize you're not going to be throwing that money out because we don't know how to store things to make them last longer. So anyway, I loved having the opportunity to share this with you. And like I said, midway through and at the beginning, if you would like me to make a PDF, I'm thinking that would probably be really helpful. I can make a PDF and get it to you. If that's something you would like, go ahead and private message me or go ahead and shoot in the comments that you would like one, and I'll get it over to you. Might take me a couple weeks to have that done, but I will get a PDF over for you so you can have it. And, save some money, and you can use that money to invest $1,400 a year investment, school, education, rent, a vacation. I think I already said all those things. So instead of food rotting and going down into the garbage or compost. So, all right, that's all I have for Tuesday this week. I wish you all the best, and yeah, I'll talk to y'all soon. See you next week. And here's to happy produce storage. Talk to you later. Bye.